You ready to do this, Matt?
Yes, sir. Punch it, Chewy.
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Matt Shaw. We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 207. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on the website, fortanerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. You know, Matt, I've said this for 207 weeks straight, and I just realized something as I was doing this once again. And I had to read it this time once again because last week I made a mistake or two. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But I realized that there's no more iTunes that you can get your podcast from. It's now called like Apple Podcasts. And there's no more Google Music. That has now all transitioned over. Podcasts are on Google Podcasts, and the music is over on YouTube Music. So I feel like I need it to be accurate, but at the same time, I know that if I change that up, I'm going to mess that up. There's no way I'm going to get that right.
You know, it's okay. Everybody knows what you mean. And I blame it on stupid corporations. They can't figure out how to name stuff.
Oh, here comes the heat right off the bat.
We always talk
call
about
it
this.
plus.
All the pluses.
Call it plus.
The Peacock. Like, why not just call it plus? Like, who are we kidding? Even call it Peacock Plus. Just don't call it.
One podcast service. Podcast Plus.
Just why not?
If no one owns it, I call it podcastplus.com. Just saying.
Okay, you can have it. It'll just be our podcast.
That's right. Matt, how are you? How has your week been? What is going on with you?
Yeah, man. Life is good. Life is good. So blessed, so happy. Family's good. Family's healthy. We had a pretty fun week. There wasn't a whole lot that went on, but it was fun because we did all the Christmas stuff.
Ooh.
And got out Christmas decorations.
Bells will be ringing.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said last week, I was like, hey, super friends, what you can do is listen to one Christmas song. I listened to like 100 Christmas songs.
Ooh.
So I went above and beyond.
I'll have you know, I listened to an entire Christmas album.
Yeah, you did. You listened to Michael Bublé, didn't you?
No.
Oh.
No. No. No.
JB is the best.
I went with the Charlie Brown Christmas album.
Oh, okay. Classic.
Gotta have it.
Classic, man. Awesome. Yeah. So we did indoor decorations. I should say indoor. So we did all of everything but the tree. Kind of messed around with and had a ton of fun with. And then later on in the week, I think yesterday, I put up the tree. Ooh. And then Jesse did all of the ornamentalness last night. Did some of it with Emmy. Emmy just puts like 15 ornaments on one branch.
Yeah, of course.
And you're like, yeah, kids are great, but kids are not great for if you want like a nice looking Christmas tree.
Let me ask you a question. What prompted you to start the Christmas stuff this early in the season?
Look, Mama Shaw can be a testament to this. I've always done it that way. Jesse and I have done that since we've been married. We go early. Look, for me, I only have a certain amount of time where I can feel warm and cozy and Christmassy, and I like it. So I want it to be as long as I can. And it's not to say that the week of Thanksgiving isn't all about Thanksgiving, because it is.
Yeah.
I love Thanksgiving. It's all about football and food and family and the Thanksgiving Day parade and all that stuff. We don't skip it. We just happen to have the decorations out.
Yeah, sure.
All ready for Christmas. So for me, it's just, especially this year, though, it's like, let's have a little bit of celebration, a little bit of joy, a little more happiness, a little more hope. And that's always my attitude, though, as it pertains to Christmas. Also, look, reality check. Spend hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars on decorations and stuff, and I only get to enjoy them for like 20 days.
You want to get that? Pass. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I love that.
I'm gonna enjoy those as long as I can.
I love that. That's funny. We also did Christmas decorations, but we did the outside. So I got up on the roof and did all the Christmas lights again this year. This is our second year in a row doing Christmas lights. And we decided to do it like Friday afternoon, early evening before it got cold, because we were going to get rain and snow this weekend and temperatures dropping into the like high 30s. So it was like, let's get this done while it's still like 60 degrees, 65 and sunny. So that's what we did.
Yeah, man. Beautiful. You kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't have to
I know.
think that far ahead.
Yep.
Because it's still like 80. So I'm waiting for it to cool down a little bit before I got to spend a million hours outside. Hopefully it can streamline the process this year of the outdoor lights, but maybe next weekend. And other than that, we just kind of, I don't know, hanging out, loving life, living life, watching some shows, nothing of import or nothing really interesting and new. We did watch one Christmas movie. That was kind of fun to get things started, and now there's like a million, and the floodgates have opened, and I will never watch Die Hard.
Oh, and, you're killing me. You're killing me.
Yeah, let's see. Other than that, I did. This wasn't this week, but I did forget to mention it. I beat Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, very nice.
And it was awesome. I freaking loved it. And there's so much more that I have to do.
Yeah.
In order to like complete it, like I did with a game like Zelda, or like Jedi Fallen Order. I do all the extra stuff. I don't know that I'm gonna just have. There's so much that I just don't know that there's time.
Yeah, I get that.
There's so many things coming out, and I have other things that I want to do, and so it's been.
So what's your next game that's on the list for you?
Cross my fingers that it's Spider-Man Miles Morales on PlayStation 5.
Ooh.
We'll talk more about that later on in the podcast, but cross my fingers, that's what I hope to be my next game.
If not, what's your backup?
Yeah, if not, I've got to beat Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I still have not completed the whole thing. So it comes with 1 and 2, right? Remastered. I beat 1, and I'm about a quarter of the way through 2 now. So the goal is to get through that. And then, geez, who even knows?
Yeah.
And other than that, obviously, election was a big part of everyone's week. Watching it.
Election day, aka election week.
Yeah.
Yes.
How naive we were to believe there was election day.
It was one of those things where I knew it was going to stretch on, but when it got to the fact that it was like Saturday before we finally had an idea, I was like, okay, like we're not even to the part of this scenario where things are being contested and there's lawsuits yet. It was just because of all the number of mail-in ballots, and some states couldn't start counting them until after the polls closed, and some states like, I get it, like it was a close election, and
very close,
and there was a lot of counting to do.
Yeah, I mean, hats off and congrats to the United States of America for getting that many people out to vote.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Matt. Like, no matter if your candidate won or lost, the fact that like over 140 million registered voters got out and voted, and I think I saw something. It was like the highest turnout in like 120 years.
Yeah, since like 1900.
I was like,
that's amazing.
That's amazing. So yeah, I was actually kind of proud of that fact. Like even with all this stuff that's kind of going on and the back and the forth and how close it was, and half the country's happy, half the country's not happy, but like I looked at that and I was like, that's kind of a little silver lining to see that many people got involved in the process this year and record turnout. Like that's awesome.
Absolutely. Totally agree. I think that was the big takeaway. And it's good because I don't think either side can blame people for not coming out and supporting their candidate.
No.
Like you hear it all the time, right? Oh, you guys didn't come out and vote. That's why we lost. This year, it's like, oh, this is what
Yep.
the most people decided they wanted.
Yep.
And it's still incredibly close.
It's very
And
close. Yeah.
it's remarkable. But anyway, so that was a big part, obviously, of the week and days. And
Yeah.
we made it kind of fun that night. We ordered pizza and wings and stayed up and just kind of hung out and had a great time.
What was interesting to me is like since the boys go to school and the daycare, they started like talking with other kids and maybe even talking with some of their teachers because Charlie brought home something today talking about like could a kid be a president, and then it had like you open the thing up and it was like no, you have to be 35 and this is how we vote. And so it was this like very kind of from a kid perspective, like teaching them about presidential elections. So the kids were coming home and they were asking me questions about Donald Trump and about Joe Biden, and they were telling me things they'd overheard from other kids. So obviously, like all my kids were doing were parroting back things that like their parents had said to them or older siblings. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. And it's like I was like, no, this, no. Like I was having to like correct like all sorts of stuff all over the board for both candidates. And I was like, look, you guys are 6 and 7. You don't need to weigh in on this right now. You got plenty of time. Be a kid.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time to get involved in the political process. But it was kind of cool that they kept asking every day, well, who's got more votes now? Can we see? So we'd pull up the little thing and, Daddy, Joe Biden has more votes. He has X many, but Donald Trump has more votes than he had last time, and he has this many. Like every day they wanted to know the vote count. It was kind of cool, but I was trying to keep like the crazy knucklehead stuff off the radar, so to speak, for a 6 and 7-year-old.
Yeah. I get that, man. Yeah. I get that. And then the big thing, just a shout out. Everybody knows college football is my jam. A shout out to my BYU Cougs jumping up to number 8 in the country. This is a big deal for us Cougar fans because it don't happen often.
Okay, I don't watch college football. We've talked about this. So I was like, man, I'm going to look up and see how Matt's BYU Cougars are doing. And let's see. And I saw how like they're having this great run. They're undefeated and they're like 8 in the nation. And then I started like looking in a little bit more. I was like, well, some of the bigger teams, other conferences hadn't started yet when like the Cougars were like 3-0 or 4-0.
Right.
They started late. And the Cougars don't exactly have a tough schedule from what it looks like. I think Boise State was their biggest like challenge, right?
Yeah.
On the schedule. So this is what I gotta say. This is why I don't like college football. Your team could potentially go undefeated the entire season, and they could still get robbed of playing for like the national title or whatever because they'll say, well, strength of schedule. Look at I don't know, pick a team.
Right.
Michigan, Florida, Ohio State. They went like 8-2, but they played giant teams, and you played, Bob's Tire Barn University nobodies. So therefore, you don't get to go to the dance. They do.
Sure.
That's always my problem with college football. If you go on, like, I really feel like it needs to be like basketball, man. You just go based on your record.
I'm with you.
And then they take the top from each division, maybe have an open slot or two for like a wild card.
Yep.
And then you battle it out, but I get that it adds too many games on and extends and da. But still, this is why I don't like it. Your team's going to get hosed.
You're not alone. I think most people want an 8-team playoff. That's fair for people kind of on the outside looking in. Smaller schools. Not that BYU is obviously a massive school, but there have been other times when smaller schools have gone undefeated and been snubbed just because.
So I'm going to say this now. My sympathies to you for when your team gets hosed, even though you have an undefeated record.
Well, and then that's the expectation. I don't think anybody's thinking BYU in the playoffs, even though ESPN is trying desperately to get us there. They talk us up every week, and it's like,
doesn't BYU also have like an exclusive contract with ESPN? So like it makes
that's the
better.
Good thing for us is we've got the media on our side in comparison to some of their teams. Anyway, neither here nor there. It's been a fun season regardless.
Yeah.
For BYU to be where they are and to have Zach Wilson as like the number 3 Heisman candidate right now, going in the first round of the draft next year. It's pretty fun to be a Cougar fan for once in our lives. So been riding that wave and hanging out, man. That was my week.
Nice. Let's see. I'm not going to talk about the election because we already kind of did, but I did get a new phone this week.
Hey, I got Pixel 12 or something.
The Pixel 5, yes.
5, that's what we're on.
And I wasn't planning on upgrading necessarily, but my phone had some hardware problems that I'd had to get fixed a few times. And so I was thinking about upgrading. Brida's phone was older than dirt. She'd had it for 4 or maybe 5 years now.
Yeah.
And so I went out and bought her a Pixel 5 and upgraded mine to the Pixel 5. So we're on new phones now, which was good, which we needed to do. Oh, Matt, the weather changing. It went from like a week, maybe a week and a half worth of fall weather to winter weather immediately. Ugh. So we got all these leaves started dropping, but not all of them, about a third of them maybe. So I go out there and I rake them all up with the family, and we have, some fun times. Like I've got pictures that we'll put to like some of the family text messages or something. I'm sure Brita will. The kids jumping in leaves and having a good time, and like it's great. We bagged them all up. An hour later, the wind came in and blew all of our neighbors' leaves back into our yard. And then, like 2 hours later, it was downpouring rain. So they all got wet and stuck there. And then later that night, we got snow.
Of course.
And it was like a high of like 35 degrees today. So we've officially entered winter weather here in Utah.
Yeah.
So, but I said we did get the Christmas lights up before that happened, which was really good because I don't want to get up there when it's cold and snowy and icy and no. But we do a thing where every year we go out and buy a decoration or two for inside the house. This year I went a little nuts. We went out and I bought 3 more outside light up decorations. So I bought one of those Christmas trees. It's just kind of like a pole with all like the strings of lights that kind of come off it into a cone, and the lights are green and there's a little green star on it. We bought a thing of like presents, like 3 little presents that light up to put down around it. We bought a sleigh and 2 reindeer that light up to put in front of the other part of the house, in front of the house. And then I also bought a little Snoopy laying on his dog house that lights up, that's got like the Christmas lights from Charlie Brown Christmas. I got that because I thought the kids would love it. So we got all of that. Then I said, Brita, you've been talking about wanting to, because like our Christmas is like our front room and our kitchen primarily. We don't have anything in like the family room that's like Christmassy. Oh, we do now. We went to that at-home store and I swear, bought everything that was in there that matched with like color schemes that she likes. And so we've got like little trees and this big wooden sign that says like the magic of Christmas begins here or something like that.
Right.
And just like all these like little things to put up, and a little sign that says like the North Pole and So I think the only thing we didn't get, which is like the one thing Brita wanted, was some garland to put over the top of our bookshelf in our family room. So I think we're going to go online and do that. And I went out to like Home Depot and bought some more electrical tape and cables, power cords and whatnot, so I could connect some of the new stuff. And yeah, man, we probably dropped $800 on new Christmas decorations.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. Yeah.
I know exactly what Snoopy decoration you're talking about because that was at the at-home store when we went this week, and I was like, Jesse, should we? And no, we showed restraint.
I got it.
On that one, we got different outdoor decorations instead.
I bought it. So the outdoor decorations, like the outdoor additional lights, they're not going up yet. And and we haven't started decorating the interior of the house because usually the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, or sometimes maybe that Saturday, just depending on what we've got going on, that's when we decorate the house. And then it's always like no Christmas music until December 1st. That's my hard fast rule. But I gotta say, Matt, this year I'm willing to change things a bit. I'm willing to allow a hall pass, if you will, for Christmas to come early because with COVID, with this whole like pandemic, and with the election season, just everything feels so stressful and negative. And Christmas music and Christmas decorations, like, they make me feel happy.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing, I think there's a lot of people struggling with like depression right now. I've seen a lot of my friends and Twitch streamers that have like taken some breaks from things to try to kind of get their mental health straight. And I know like I've kind of felt that way the last couple of weeks. I've just been overworked and super busy. And so like I just have kind of needed a little bit of a break. But man, Christmas in my house, like the decorations, it just makes my house feel warmer than it does the rest of the year. Not that I live in some like cold, barren, like uninviting home.
Right.
But it's just that extra little bit of magic that
it's true.
And so I'm ready for that. Better. I'm ready for that. So we might pull out the Christmas tree and decorate the house this upcoming weekend.
You will. Jesse was on the phone with Brita this afternoon, and I'm sure Jesse told her everything at our house and how good it looks. And so I think it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah. Yep. So
not a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing. So that's kind of happened, and then got to see that old Mandalorian once again.
Oh yeah, of course, duh. And also Mandalorian, guys. Watch that too.
And that was a good time. If you haven't checked it out, we did shadow drop once again the Mandalorian. Of course, it's not gonna be shadow drop. Like, we're not shadow dropping, not anymore. Now it's happening week after week. But Mondays, on Mondays we will drop it, and then on Sunday nights we're gonna do group watches on Disney Plus to watch the Mandalorian. So, Super Friends, if you're interested, we'll put out a tweet or put it on the Discord, and we can only have, I think, Matt, we figured out 5 plus the 2 of us.
Yeah,
they can watch it. So we'll get together and we'll watch an episode. We'll watch the most recent episode of The Mandalorian with the Super Friends. So if you want to be a part of that and watch it with us, and message on Discord or use the little emojis on Disney Plus, that's what we're doing Sunday nights. So there is that.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be sweet.
Well, that's all I got for my week roundup, Matt. I think it's time that we get to some Rebel Intelligence. But in order to do that, we got to kill some Bothans.
Let's kill
them. I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Matt, we are into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this week?
I have some information that I obtained, and it's a little bit interesting. I can't say sad, or I can't say happy. I can't say any, because I don't want anyone to think what side I'm on in this situation. However, our favorite Johnny Depp has been asked to resign from his role as Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts series. Now, this is allegedly because of his ongoing suits with his ex-wife Amber Heard and the domestic violence
right
between the two. We know that information has come to light that makes it appear that Johnny Depp wasn't so bad. And then there's information that refutes that as well, that we haven't really seen a lot of in the courts, but apparently there's enough that Warner Brothers felt it appropriate to ask him to resign.
Yeah.
So this is a tricky situation because obviously domestic violence is a very bad thing.
Yep.
And if somebody is abusing their spouse, it is probably right to terminate them if there is sufficient evidence. I don't know the evidence. They haven't released all of the evidence. If it's a tricky situation. And I have relatively followed it closely, and so has Jesse, because we both really like Johnny Depp, and we were devastated to hear that he would act in such a way.
Yeah.
So I don't have all the evidence. The evidence I do have is that Amber Heard was actually the one that was instigating the violence and injured him. I have not honestly seen the evidence contrary, though I guess Warner Brothers has more information than us. Regardless, this started a Twitter storm as the information was released, and many change.orgs, which always work, as we know.
Totally enforceable.
But Johnny Depp trending on Twitter, people in support. I would say 99% of it is in support of Johnny Depp, because the information that we have as the public shows him as not the abuser. From what I understand. If you know Super Friends, please enlighten me. We are open to that information, but from what I understand, that's the information I have.
I've seen a lot of the stuff. I don't think anyone in that relationship has clean hands, if I'm being perfectly honest. The interesting thing, though, is that Johnny Depp brought up a lawsuit against, I think it's the Sun, the paper over there, for libel and Amber Heard and whatnot. And that the judge over there basically said, like, no, there's enough evidence that, that we're not going to let this go through for libel. And then Warner Brothers asked him to go. But the stuff that's going on is really, really bad on both sides. Like, and I've seen enough of it that I'd feel comfortable saying that, like, no one is clean in this. Like, the old saying, let he who has, no sin cast the first stone. No one's tossing rocks in this scenario. Right. But the interesting thing is, I just realized both of these actors and actresses, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, both are in movies made by Warner Brothers. Amber Heard is in the Aquaman series. I haven't heard that Warner Brothers has asked her to step down. Which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is bad for Warner Brothers. It's a bad look. I mean, if you fire them both, it's not that bad of a look. But
it's like,
anyway,
this is
we
like,
don't get political.
No.
We don't want to. But the facts are the facts.
The interesting thing,
one's fired and one's not, and the case proves that Amber Heard abused Johnny Depp. That's the fact.
Compare Warner Brothers to Disney. Like, Disney, if there's like even a hint of impropriety, they're like aggressively, they're like, nope, you're not going to direct anymore. You're not going to act anymore. You're not going to be in our stuff, like, because they really want to keep their family friendly image. So like, this seems just kind of, I don't know. Warner Brothers is just, it's a different animal. Like, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, well, there you go. No Johnny Depp
no
coming up anytime soon for anything, it would appear, which is a shame that he would act in such a way, and that we don't have the information.
Yeah.
It's just a shame all around.
Interesting. All right, Matt, I'm going to start with something I found a little interesting. I've had a lot of people, when I've played video games on Twitch, tell me that I should play the Mass Effect trilogy because I've never played any of the Mass Effect games. And the first Mass Effect game was like an Xbox 360 like exclusive, and then the other games since then haven't been console exclusive. But BioWare has officially announced the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which takes the original 3 Mass Effect games, and they're going to put them into one remastered game. And they showed some footage. BioWare is saying that it's not really a like full remake, but kind of like a improved, kind of greatly cleaned up version of the games. It's going to be in the best possible looking mode, they said, and it's going to come to PS4, Xbox One, PC, and they said that it will come to Xbox Series X and PS5 with targeted enhancements. I don't know what targeted enhancements means, but I'm going to assume to make it even prettier.
Yeah.
So for me, this is kind of something that's interesting because I've had a lot of people that said like I would love this series, I would love these games, and of course I've never gotten to them just because I couldn't play the first one because it was on Xbox and I don't have an Xbox anymore.
Right.
But then the others are there. I like these stories when I hear stuff was remastered, kind of like when they put together the Nathan Drake collection of the first 3 Uncharted games and they re-released them. They cleaned it up, I think, a little bit. It wasn't like this massive remaster that it looks, it's not like it's not like Final Fantasy VII Remake where they kind of remake the whole game.
Right.
But I like seeing games get cleaned up, gussied up a little bit, so to speak, looking better, and then going back out there because it does give a chance for gamers that didn't maybe originally play the game a chance to play them. So I like this. This is kind of exciting news to me.
Yeah, man, that is exciting news. It'll be interesting to see again the targeted
enhancements, whatever
that means. Because
yeah,
we'll
right.
see a mass exodus from Xbox One and PS4 pretty soon.
Probably.
I've got some information pertaining to gaming as well, and that is, we'll start with this. Microsoft has touted their accessibility features and adaptive controllers for those with disabilities.
Yeah.
So that they too can game. And no one else has done it really well or really tried until now. Hori, who's a Japanese controller maker, they do a lot of stuff for Nintendo. They have created an adaptive controller for the Switch in docked mode. So it plugs in and has, larger buttons, and it doesn't have shoulder buttons. It has, an extra 2 buttons on the side that make it so that you don't need to have, your digits moving around a ton.
Yeah.
It also, similar to the Microsoft adaptive controller, has like the same like 3mm jacks.
Mm-hmm.
You can plug in all these different accessories that will coordinate with the buttons. So if you need like a big push button, or you're playing a game where you only really need 2 buttons, you can have these larger buttons. So Nintendo has gotten into the adaptive controller game, which is awesome. We need as many people gaming as can possibly game, and I think it's really cool when companies go the extra mile to make that happen. And I think that's a really great thing that Microsoft did in setting the trend, and it's cool to see Nintendo being able to follow suit. So
I like that.
There's more people gaming, man. More people out there making villages and islands and,
and Animal Crossing.
And shaking trees, baby.
Oh, that's awesome. I do like seeing that as a society that the gaming industry is recognizing that like there's people with special needs that could game, and so that they're not only making something that's more accessible, but allowing it to be open so that if a game or a user has different needs than that, adaptive controller can provide, that there's still ways for them to put peripherals that they may have that work for them into that. Like, I love this. I don't think, I don't know if the companies make money on this. I don't know if they end up making money on this or if it's just all a loss leader for them. But from a human standpoint, this is always a win in my book.
Yeah, rock on, man.
It just makes me happy. Now, something I think would make me happy, but I'd have to have a little bit of money in my pocket, is this next story I have for you, Matt. I find this interesting, so I don't know, maybe you and the Super Friends will as well. When this pandemic is over, Matt, what would you like to do for vacation? Would you like to travel somewhere, go to Disney again, take a cruise? What would you like to do?
I'd take a cruise, man. I want to go on another Disney cruise.
That sounds amazing, right?
Until it's all over.
What about the idea of taking a submarine ride?
Oh, hard pass.
Well, let me tell you, Matt, there is a new tourism destination. It's called the Titanic. Oh, yes.
Sounds safe.
Oh, yes. So what's happened is there's this company, and I'm trying to see if I can find the name here real quickly. Ocean Gate Expeditions.
Okay.
And what they are doing is they have created this submersible that will go all the way down and a little further down than the Titanic. And they are doing science. They're doing scientific research along with a bunch of other, groups that are doing this. But this Ocean Gate Expeditions worked with Boeing and NASA to design this like a carbon fiber submersible submarine that they're calling Titan. It's got a 21-inch circular window that will allow two people to peer out apparently and look out at the same time. It can go down to 2.5 miles below the surface. Here's the thing. The captain and like his co-captain or whatever, specialist or whatever, are on board. But for the mere price of $125,000, you can become a specialist and be part of the scientific quote-unquote crew that's going to go down to explore and document and do like more sonar stuff and laser scanning of the Titanic. And so you will have to do some things to help to be a part of this crew for science, but they can take 3 passengers down at a time. And not only this isn't just, of course, like a down and back sort of thing, because obviously that's not going to work. But you go down there, and I believe I read that like you're going to be down there for something like, or as maybe as part of the whole, getting down, being there, doing some stuff, and coming back. It's something like, I want to say like 6 weeks.
Holy crap!
Like it's a bit of time. So like, they're taking down enough food,
right.
so that you as a mission specialist can be there to do some of the 3D modeling or whatever. The company told Bloomberg that they had to charge at least $100,000 to each one of these mission specialists to make money. Okay, it's not 6 weeks. It's an 8-day adventure. I had to find it. I was like, it was some crazy amount of time. Still, I know 6 weeks and 8 days are not the same, but in a submarine, 2.5 miles down, time. That's 8 days is a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Matt, is this something that you would want to do post COVID, take a submarine tour of the Titanic and become a mission specialist?
Yes, if it didn't cost $125,000.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, going down to the Titanic, that's actually pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
People are going to do this. They're going to pay $125,000 to do it. Like, they will.
I mean, didn't like cool. Lance Bass from like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, whatever he was from, did he pay like $10 million to go into outer space with like the Russians or something?
I'm unfamiliar with the story. I am familiar with Lance Bass, and it was NSYNC. Thank you very much.
Sure,
How
whatever.
Dare you insult me? With
I
Lance
don't
Bass
know these
Backstreet
NSYNCers. I don't know them. What do I know? I know the story though. I know that like he went into outer space for like some crazy amount of money. And just okay, Matt. And just for a comparison, if you wanted to hike Mount Everest, which is the highest point on the planet, you can do all of that and paying Sherpas and guides to help get you up there for like $45,000. So that's Everest, $125,000 to go down to Titanic.
Crazy, man.
Or just watch the movie. I'm just saying.
Crazy. Yeah, the movie. Watch that. Same thing.
Just saying.
Speaking of movies,
okay,
there was one movie that dropped during the pandemic. One major movie that dropped.
Did it?
Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Yes.
And I have been wondering, as I'm sure many have, okay, when are we going to see this movie? Because it didn't do that well in the movie theaters. I won't say it bombed because of the situation. I don't know what their expectations were. I doubt it lived up to those expectations. Regardless, we are going to see Tenet in your home on December 15th.
Cool.
So we're right about a month out from being able to watch it. And this is 4K or Blu-ray in addition to digital purchases. So basically it's just being released on December 15th. No theater at home or anything like that. No weird special stuff. Just the movie is out for everybody to watch on December 15th. So
I like this. This is a movie I wanted to see, but I wasn't going to go to a theater to go see it.
Right.
So I did see that they made something like 300 million, but that was worldwide.
Yeah.
And I feel like the movie cost around that price tag. Like I remember hearing like some crazy price tags for that film. So I don't know that they made their money. So hopefully the old at home helps.
Yeah, well, they'll get more than normal for sure. Would be my expectation as it pertains to home sales. They're going to. People want to see it. You and me, and probably a bunch of the super friends who didn't go see it in the theater. Will watch it now. As much as I'll watch it just to be confused. I mean, that's what Christopher Nolan, other than Batman, that's what it is for me. It's like, how confused can I get in 2.5 hours? Oh, wow. Very confused is the answer. Every time I watch one, oh, really confused.
Yep. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Matt. I've got something I'm excited about.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm really excited about.
All right.
You remember a little while ago, we talked about the old Star Wars Lego holiday special?
Oh, I do remember this, yes.
The Star Wars Lego holiday special that, by the way, drops on Disney Plus November 17th. So if you're listening to the podcast, I mean, that's like less than a week away for you now. Here's the thing. We have gotten a longer trailer and gotten a little more info because you and I were kind of discussing whether or not we thought this was going to be some sort of a remake or kind of a reimagining of the original holiday special. It's not. It takes place after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and it's going to have Finn, Rey, Poe, and Rose, and of course the rest of the galaxy. And it's Life Day, and they're celebrating their victory over the Final Order. But Rey discovers a like some sort of like key in like a Jedi temple that basically lets them travel through time, and Rey is going to bumble through time and drop in at key moments in the history of the Skywalker saga, and is going to be able to be influential, be part of it. Listen, I watched this trailer. It's nothing but adorable cuteness. I even saw Baby Yoda, aka the child, in this thing. It looks so good. I got a kick out of it. I laughed and I went, oh man, my boys are going to love this. Even though they haven't seen all of the Star Wars movies all the way through yet, I think there's going to be enough here to sustain them that they will love this. I can't wait. This is coming at a perfect time, right before Thanksgiving, right before the holiday season. Super Friends, if you don't have Disney Plus already, like A, get on that because of The Mandalorian, but B, like you can't pass up this kind of like Lego Star Wars goodness. It's just going to be silly and fun and a great time for everyone.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I saw this trailer and just got happy smiles, happy Matt smiles. It's like it's a great way to do it too. It's because it involves the whole the time travel thing is brilliant because you can go back in the moments where Rey's never been and kind of see things that and the way that Palpatine is always portrayed in Lego Star Wars is just hilarious.
Yeah.
Darth Vader as well. Like it's just humorous. It's lighthearted, and likely heartfelt at the end. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of fun for sure.
It is good. That was the last major thing that I had. Did you have anything else?
No, I'm out.
I do have one more shadow dropped Rebel Intelligence thing. This happened, and it's sad. Alex Trebek passed away.
Yeah.
Alex Trebek of Jeopardy fame, who'd, I don't know, done Jeopardy for decades and decades. He died over the weekend. He was 80. We all know that he'd been suffering with cancer for a number of years. There's no official reason or cause of death at the moment, but I'm going to guess it probably was something cancer related. So if you think about it, remember the Trebek family this week, because obviously they lost someone, and Alex Trebek had been a mainstay and a staple in pop culture for a lot of years, mainly due to the fact that the guy ran a game show that was all about like trivia and interesting tidbits of information, and that's kind of right up our alley. Yep. So anyway, sad to see it go, and our thoughts and our prayers are with the Trebek family. Matt, last week we talked about Sean Connery, who'd passed away.
We did.
And we asked the Super Friends what was their favorite Sean Connery movie. And we got a lot of answers. So we're going to...
All right, let's hear it.
We're going to jump over them. We're going to start over on the email like we always do, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com. We got Peter Christensen. It says, Dear Nerds, when discussing video game movies, don't forget Warcraft. It didn't take off in the American movie theaters, but it had great characters, effects, and action. It was too much lore to understand the first time if you weren't familiar with World of Warcraft, but it's a solid B+ fantasy action movie. That is true. That is true, Matt. I did see that. That is pretty good.
Okay, I'll watch it sometime.
He says, Spencer, I think you're being too hard on Apple TV Plus, excuse me. They're 1 year into the original content game versus 5-ish for Amazon and 10-ish for Netflix. They extended the free year offer because the production was delayed on the second year of their original 4 shows. So they want to have new seasons out before people have to consider renewing. That makes sense. As Matt said, it's not only available on Apple devices, you can watch it on PC, Roku, Fire TV, and many other new smart TV brands. You were comparing if it was worth subscribing to Apple TV Plus to watch the Peanuts specials, and comparing that to the libraries that Amazon and Netflix have built up over the years. At 1/3 of the price of Netflix, it's already an okay value, and it will get better over time. Besides, it's never worth paying to stream something you already own. That's true. Mm-hmm. I keep a pretty hard line about no Christmas decorations until Black Friday, so your December 1st hardline sounds harsh, even to me. I've seen a few Sean Connery movies. He always seemed like Robert Redford or Charlton Heston, a legend from a previous generation that occasionally popped up in my entertainment. His look, fame, and most importantly, accent were unavoidable, both in homage and parody. I've never gone back and watched the pre-Brosnan James Bond movies because I don't think it'll be fair to the pacing. Older action movies don't hold up as well as older comedies. My primary experience with him is from 2 movies. Finding Forrester was one of the first DVDs I watched after coming home from my LDS mission, and subsequently You're the Man Now dog memes. And inspiring movie in the Spirit of Dead Poets. It's an inspiring movie in the Spirit of Dead Poets Society. But his canonical role for me is as John Mason in The Rock, which remains the perfect Michael Bay movie before he became a parody of himself. Connery, despite being old, is still the toughest and coolest guy in a movie full of cops, soldiers, and Marines. Whenever I give a thumbs up, it's straight arm and parallel to the ground, just like Connery in The Rock. Also, honorable mention for being on the Scottish Wall of Fame in So I Married an Axe Murderer. To me, his passing feels more like the pioneers of computing that have been dying over the last 10 to 20 years, overshadowed by a new generation of stars, but vitally important to the history and development of culture. Rest in peace. By the way, he added the Connery voice.
Emphasis.
Yes, the emphasis. P.S. I finished The Defenders on Marvel Netflix, and yes, it was way, way less confusing after seeing Iron Fist Season 1. After spending so much time diving into each of the characters as individuals, with whole seasons wrapped around them, it was a fun romp to see them fighting each other and fighting together against bad guys. It feels like a tiny, very serious version of the first Avengers movie, but way less accessible if you haven't done your homework.
Yeah.
Also, I listened to your Mandalorian Chapter 10 sidekick, and again, I mostly agree. For the nitpick about the long delay between the X-Wing returns, I'm going to say that they genuinely did lose the Razor's crest, but then detected seismic readings once the giant spider and Mando bombs started knocking the caves down. The horror aspect of the spider chase was well done, but it was a little too clearly an homage to the alien egg cave flowing into the Acromantula chase from Harry Potter. I give it an A-, not because of anything wrong with the episode, but because I kind of want the season plot to progress. I consider Chapter 9 and 10 to be of similar quality, but since neither of them does much for the season plot, the second one gets the lower grade. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
Thanks, Peter. As always.
I don't have any problems with any of that.
Oh, well said.
Maybe I am a little hard on Apple Plus, but I mean, come on. You're Apple. You got so much money. Like, you got to step up to the plate in a big way. Just saying. Just don't feel it from them. All right. Moving on to Facebook. We have Jennifer Knowles. How do you even choose a favorite? Untouchables, Hunt for Red October, Entrapment, The Rock, Never Say Never Again, my favorite not Bond James Bond movie. I like all of those movies there. Great. Also on Facebook, Nate Cox. Honestly, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I mean, it's not wrong, right, Matt?
Oh, he's not wrong.
I'm wrong. Let's go over to Twitter at Fort of Nerd. We've got Patrick Novacell at Hollywood Bones. He says, The Rock, one of the best quotes of all time and slightly edited. Are you sure you're ready for this? I'll do my best. Your best? Losers always whine about the best. Winners go home with the prom queen. Carla was the prom queen. Really? Oh yeah. I love that scene. It cracks me up. Sean Connery's so good in The Rock.
Nice.
We got Sleepy Paul at P Calico 84. He says, definitely Highlander 1 and 2, Indiana Jones, and then Dragonheart is good too. Else time. I love Highlander 1. Highlander 2 is a bad movie, but Sean Connery did return. He did return for that role. Indiana Jones, of course. I don't remember if I've seen Dragonheart, Matt. He voices the dragon in that, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of movies I get a little bit confused, and they have dragons in them, and I don't know that I've seen Dragonheart, is what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
Braveheart and Dragonheart. Actually, I do get those two confused.
Really?
They're very different movies.
Braveheart and Dragonheart.
Yeah, I think obviously it's the heart that gets me confused.
Oh, man.
Not the same movies. I think I've seen Braveheart and not Dragonheart.
What is a fantasy movie with a dragon? The other one is somewhat biopic about a liberator of Scotland.
Same thing. Like, I'm sure this guy liberates the dragon. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Hashtag liberate the dragon.
That's right,
man. That sounds like a Mountain Dew ad. Hashtag liberate the dragon. Do the do. All right. Back over on Twitter, we got the GNDFLR at DSpin67. He says, The Hunt for Red October. I remember watching this movie on Laserdisc and having Dolby Pro Logic surround sound back during my tech days at Circuit City. Hold on. Ryan, be careful where you shoot. Most things in here don't react well to bullets. I love The Hunt for Red October. Bonus points because it was one of my dad's favorite Sean Connery movies, and we watched it a ton in our household. Tim Paulin says, one I would recommend is Medicine Man. The setting and story are pretty moving. I think that I've seen Medicine Man.
Interesting.
I think it's been a long time, though.
I've never seen it.
Maybe only the once. Will's Toy Clearance at Will's Toy Clear says, Highlander. Heart, faith, steel. In the end, there can be only one. Gosh, I love that movie. It probably doesn't hold up by today's standards. It needs to be remade, and we know they're remaking it. But, oh, man, Sean Connery. Juan Villalobos Ramirez. Anyway. Let's see here. I can't read this whole name here. Okay. Black Lives Matter Tran rights are something at Yipper97. Says, mine is The Name of the Rose. Matt, I gotta admit, that's one I've never heard of.
The Name of the Rose. Let's check it out. I have never heard of that one either.
The Name of the Rose. Yep. Let's go over to the Discord. We've got Mr. Pastor Lucas Ham. He says, I have to say that there are a lot of Sean Connery films that I love and enjoy. So many, in fact, that I could likely make a top 10. However, the one that always comes to mind is a film about knights, dragons, and sacrifice. Dragonheart. First of all, as the voice of the main dragon in the film, Connery shows why he has one of the most recognizable and iconic voices, up there with James Earl Jones as Darth Vader in Star Wars, and Liam Neeson as Aslan in the Chronicles of Narnia. Secondly, the movie is very well done CGI at the time and has a great moral lesson, along with great actors to tell the story. Connery truly was the last and greatest dragon.
Well, we've got two dragon hearts. I think they mean Braveheart, though.
I don't think they mean Braveheart.
I'm teasing.
Freedom! Oh, freedom!
The Last of the Mohicans is what they really mean.
Last of the Mohicans.
That's all the same movie.
Sure. It was The Last Samurai. Same thing.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is just like Mel Gibson and Sean Connery. They're all like very similar. It's like the holy trinity of weird guys.
Super friends, thank you so much for all your answers this week. We appreciate this. I've got to say, Matt, I've got a movie or two now that I've got to go check out that I haven't seen with Sean Connery in it, and I love that.
Yeah, what was it? The Rose. Who am I kidding? I don't know. I don't know if it's Dragonheart, Rose Wing, the Rose Room, the Red Rose. I don't know. But there are,
the Rose Room, the Red Rose. I think he was on The Bachelorette. I think that's what it was.
Yes, thank you. Gosh, I knew there was a rose in there for a reason.
The Red Rose ceremony. I must ask you a question. Can I get a red rose, please?
Oh God.
Just saying. That's bad. That's a bad impression. I apologize.
Yeah, that was really rough. We're gonna get back on track, and you're gonna say, "Yo, thanks for everything you do, Matt. What else can our super friends? Do for us this week?" There we go. Okay, you got it. Thank you for your interactions. We appreciate them. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit us on YouTube. Hit us on Discord. Find us. Chat with us. We got things to say beyond what we say in this podcast. I can talk forever if you let me.
It's true.
And those on Discord will know that I am not active on Discord, but I do check it.
You get in there and mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, man. Anyway, so a little something extra y'all can do this week. I was thinking of a random year. Let's say 2003. Go back and listen to your favorite song from 2003. That's what you can do. Find your favorite song and just roll with it. Rock out, jam out, whatever, country out, rap out, whatever it is you liked in 2003, find it, give it a listen.
Matt, I was just about to say, I think, I believe in a thing called Love by the Darkness came out right around there, but I was like, maybe that was 2004, 2005, because if it was, I was going to bust a little bit of that out right here and now.
Well, thankfully you don't know, and
but
we
I
don't
have
to be exposed to such a rendition. But give it a listen. That's what I'm saying. Go back, give it a listen.
Something from 2003.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, good. Matt, this is actually a really big week for gamers.
Huge week, man.
This is a huge week for gamers. If you're a console gamer, this is your Christmas. Yeah, we're pretty much at the end of a console generation, and a new console generation is starting. The new Xbox is coming out. The new PlayStation's coming out. On the day of release, the PlayStation 5, and the release of this podcast, the PlayStation 5 will be live.
Yes.
Matt, are you going to try to go and find one like in a store on release day?
So it shows how naive you are about the latest on how pre-orders work with PlayStation. So you have to do it online. There is no waiting in line. So each Target will have, I don't want to give this information to super friends. Maybe they're going to snake a PlayStation from me, but it's your local Target. And I know there ain't nobody in San Antonio listening to me. So I don't care. Target's going to have it online for pickup only. So don't wait at Target. You will not be able to get one. You have to do it online.
So next, are they releasing them? Like, are they releasing more pre-orders day of?
Yes. Okay. So essentially, some of them will be like pickups. Yeah. So you know how right now Target does pickup? They've been doing it for a little while. Yeah. We love Target pickup. And it will essentially be that you'll be able to reserve it, and then hours later you can then go drive up and pick it up. There is no physically waiting at Target. Same thing at Walmart. Walmart, though, has gone so far as to say they're going to have like 4 release windows. Noon Eastern, like 2, 4, and 9. Go look it up to find out the exact release windows, but they're going to do several pre-order release windows. Those will be different in that when you purchase them, they will then be shipped to you. So you can buy it on release day, but you won't get it for a couple days.
Okay.
But they will have that inventory. Best Buy has not, at least as far as I know, any information as to what their plans are. But long story short, I know this much about it because I desperately want to get one.
Right, so yes. Yeah.
I will be searching far and wide on release day. Probably will not be working very much because I will be refreshing pages. I already told Jesse too. I was like, Jesse, have like your iPad ready to go. I'll have like 3 different screens, and we're going to be refreshing on different stores and Targets and Walmarts, and hoping Sony will take my $500 and just be happy.
I just want
to give them $500.
I know, right? It's like, just take my money. I want one. I want one so bad, but I have to go through Best Buy because I literally have like $500 in gift cards.
And that sucks because that's like the only one that hasn't said anything about how they're going to do it. And they're relatively unreliable. Store by store, at least that's been my experience. It's been tough.
Yep. So
but anyway,
it's a big exciting time for so many of the super friends that did get pre-orders. You and I tried. We tried and we got skunked hard. I mean, gosh, I was like, I just needed one button click to go through and I was going to be good. But this sometimes kind of happens, and we're in the middle of this pandemic, so we know that like the parts have been limited, that production wasn't running as much as they could for a while. So it's kind of where it is, right? But since this is a console release week, you and I thought it would be kind of a good idea to talk about some of our memories of console releases and like console release week and things, consoles that we got when they first released. So Matt, what do you got for me? What's a memory or a console you got on the release day?
So the very first console I remember getting on release day was the Nintendo GameCube.
Ooh, okay.
So this was in year whatever it was, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Right?
2001 was the GameCube.
So it must have been really early 2000s.
Yeah, 2001.
So year is 2001. I'm 13 years old. Funny, my brother and I had been saving a lot of money, and we also happened to come across a chest of coins that either my parents had been piling up or somebody had been piling up, and it ended up being enough to buy a GameCube in there. Ooh. In this chest of money that we found, in addition to what my brother and I had lying around. So leading up to that week, obviously we had to go get the coin rollers.
Yeah.
I mean, this is old school stuff, right? I mean, you had to roll the coins and get it ready so that we could then take it to the bank and they could give us cash. Because ain't nobody I don't know where we bought it. Back in the day, it might have been Circuit City. I don't know.
Right.
They're not going to take $200 in pennies, coins, and dimes, and nickels.
You should have. That would have been awesome.
So it would have been, but we didn't. I don't think my parents wanted that. They would have been very embarrassed.
Oh, for
but
sure.
Anyway,
hold on. Here's another bucket and another bucket. Yeah.
That's so bad. But we rolled them all up, and we knew exactly which one we wanted. We wanted the purple GameCube, and we were successful in having just enough money to go on release day. And at this point, we had friends. Mitchell would have been, my older brother would have been 16. So I don't remember if he drove us or one of our friends drove us, but we went down to one of the electronics stores and we were able to get a GameCube in cash. And we walked out and had a grand old time playing Super Mario Sunshine. And I felt so cool because that was the first time that I'd purchased. Obviously, you're only 13. That's the first time I'd ever purchased a console combined with my brother, right? I mean, It was definitely a team effort because we weren't working. Somehow had this money that we stumbled upon and collected for months and months, knowing we wanted a GameCube. And it was a lot of fun. The excitement was real. It was really, really fun. And that's the first time where I remember the console kind of generation change happening and knowing my 64 was about to be obsolete.
Yeah.
And that we were going to get no cartridges. There were going to be these teeny tiny weird discs because Nintendo can't do anything normally.
Right. Yeah.
They still can't do anything normally. Well, normally, like everyone else, I guess is what I should say.
Sure.
So that was my first console week launch day memory.
That's
pretty fun.
That's a good one. Oh gosh, the GameCube was such an interesting console. I have memories of taking that with this little 7-inch monitor that was part of this little DVD combo player you could hang on the back of a car seat. But
yes,
I could take the screen off it and I could plug in the component, the red, white, yellow. And so I was in college, I was working at a call center. And I would take my GameCube, that little 7-inch window, and a Wavebird controller, and I'd set it up kind of behind the monitor. And I remember playing Legend of Zelda Wind Waker in between all my phone calls. And I got the script down, and so I literally could, call would come in, I was like, "Hi, my name is Spencer from Telecenter USA, whatever." And I'm like, "Have you heard about the latest deals? Blah blah blah." Click. Nope. Okay. And then I just hang it up, and then it'd immediately go to the next queue, and I'd wait another minute, and I just sit there glancing off, not necessarily directly on screen, but a little off to the left, and just played Wind Waker. I probably got close to beating that game at work just alone. So it was
so cool.
It was that was such a good, fun little console because it was small. You could take it anywhere with you.
Yep.
That's a good one. I like that. GameCube. Matt, I started racking my brain. I started thinking, because I've had consoles going as far back to the Atari 2600, all the way up to the current gen. And I started thinking, okay, which ones have I not had, or like my brother and I, or like our family had? And I think the only ones we didn't have was like the Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast, from the Sega side, and then we've had every Nintendo console. We've had every PlayStation console. I've had every Microsoft Xbox console up until this generation. So I've had a lot of consoles. So I started looking back and I had to look at release dates to start seeing, and I realized something. I have only had 2 consoles on release day. Like, actually got a console on all those, because like my original NES Nintendo, like I ran a paper route and I bought that at the end of a summer. It had been out for a little while. Like, it'd probably been out for like a good year or 2 by the time I got that. The Super Nintendo was purchased for us. We got it at Christmas. A lot of our consoles was that. It would get purchased,
Christmas, and
then we'd actually get it Christmas. So like, I started looking. I've probably had most of my consoles, except for a few random ones here and there, probably within a 6-month window of release day. But there's only 2. So the first one, taking you all the way back to 2005 with the Xbox 360. This time I was out of college. I was married for the first time. And I'd had an Xbox, and I really, really, really wanted an Xbox 360. And so I went over to GameStop on release day, and I bought one. And the interesting thing is, like, I started like looking around at some of these, because I remember getting the Xbox 360 and paying the extra $100 to get the 20 gig hard drive. There was like this really weird kind of bump shaped thing that you attached to the top of the console. Like, if you haven't seen it, go look it up, because it was kind of crazy looking. But I got it not because of any new games. Like, I today I looked up the release games that happened on launch day. I didn't own a single one of those games. I bought it because it was new, it was supposed to load games faster, and it had a wireless controller, because the original Xbox had the breakaway cable. If you remember it, like, you would plug it in, but then maybe about 6 inches from the console, there was a little like connector piece, which was, I thought, a genius idea at the time. That way, like, if someone tripped over your cable, it just would separate the cable and it wouldn't pull up the console off the shelf. And if it separated, like, it would automatically pause your game. And so I remember going and thinking, I want that wireless controller. I don't want to have to sit 6 feet away from the TV. I want to sit 8 feet away and sit on the couch or whatever. And so I went and I picked it up on release day. I went over to a GameStop, got it, came back, set it all up, and put Halo 2 right back in it. I took it out of my original Xbox, put it right in, and loaded up my Xbox Live account, and then just kept playing Halo 2. And that literally was probably the only game I played for maybe the first year of actually owning that console. Eventually I got other games and I played other stuff, and I ended up, getting like the Rock Bands and Guitar Heroes on that console. But at launch window, I literally just went to buy that like $400 console, because I think it was like $300 and then it was $400 for the extra hard drive, just literally so I could play Halo 2 with wireless controllers.
Oh, wow.
That was why I picked up the Xbox 360. And
that's awesome.
And it was an opportunity for me to get a launch day console. It was exciting. I mean, they'd revamped the Xbox Live service, because you got to remember, Xbox Live did start like towards the end of the original Xbox console, and they expanded it. They put a bunch more, like, you could start getting like free games through it. They had a few like free online games that were included, like a billiards game or something. That was big. Like, that really, like, I was really, really excited for that, even though it was just to play more Halo 2. That's really all it was.
Well, that's quite the reason.
Yep.
To venture out and to buy a brand new console.
Dude, wireless controllers. Like I know in 2020 that sounds like that's par for the course, right?
Big deal.
It was
I
a
remember
huge
when the
deal.
Wavebird came out, and that was like so exciting to have the Wavebird, you had to plug it into the front of the GameCube.
Yeah, to
turn
have
the
a little
dial
receiver.
to the correct number.
Yep.
Same with yours, so that you didn't cross with your buddy who had the purple one, and you're like, man, make sure we're on different channels.
Yep.
But my next one, similar to you, many of my consoles came post launch.
Yeah. Okay.
Period. So like we had the Super Nintendo. We had the regular Nintendo. We had the Super Nintendo. We had the Sega Genesis. We did get the Sega Dreamcast. We had the PlayStation 2 and the N64, and none of those were at launch. Those were all at some point in time in my life. And then when I could get my own money, I had the GameCube, and then the next Nintendo iteration, of course, because everybody who listens to the podcast knows I'm a Nintendo fanboy.
Right.
It was the Wii. And that was definitely clear as night. Clear as night. Wow. Clear as day. It was late at night.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered from GameStop down there on Spring Cypress in Tomball, Texas, and got Red Steel. Do you remember that game?
No.
You could use the Wii remote as like a samurai sword. Surprisingly fun game. Like really a fun game, especially for the time. Now we'd probably go back and be like, this thing can crap.
I'm sure.
But at the time, it was a lot of fun. That was one of their big launch games, and then of course a launch that was simultaneous on GameCube. It was kind of one of those cross situations. Was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
So I had those two games pre-ordered plus the console, and I didn't want to deal with the rush, and I was driving and self-sufficient. I was like a senior in high school, I think. Just drove out to the GameStop at about 2 a.m., I think right before they closed. Picked all my stuff up and played until probably 5 a.m. And it was purely Twilight Princess. And obviously the Wii was a unique console and a unique, I mean, everything about it at that point was really, really exciting to me. There were so many things that were different than what we were all used to as it pertained to a console. Just the price being one of them, it being so affordable that a high school student who worked at Panera could afford it in 2 games. That was pretty exciting for me. And then on top of that, just the novelty of having the remotes. And I remember plugging in the nunchuck to the remote for the first time.
Wiimote. Yeah.
This is so exciting. Like, how cool is this? I can swing the sword like this and I can run around and,
people breaking their TVs. And so Nintendo had to send them those little rubber grips and the little wristbands. Gosh, those were good days.
Yep. So many fun games, and obviously it came built in with perhaps, in my opinion, the greatest built-in game of all time, which is Wii Sports. Like
that was a really good one.
Talk about showing off the console and then having longevity.
Yep.
Like we were, as a country, as a world, we were bowling for years.
Yep.
We were having tennis matches for years.
I love tennis.
We were pissed and we were angry and we were competitive and it was epic.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And my little brother Mark, of course, he's got like an excellent memory, and I have the crappiest memory. So he remembers this night vividly. Mark is, I think he's about 12 years younger than me, so it's a pretty big gap. But he remembers staying up late, really late with me, 5 a.m. or whatever it was, playing The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and just kind of sitting on the floor watching me play in my bedroom. It was a lot of fun. It was a great day. That's one of my memories of picking up a console on launch day.
I like that, Matt. The interesting thing about the Wii was like, came out like November of 2006. But if you remember, like, I tried to get one on launch day, and I remember like I could not like it like
that was a tough one.
It was so I was here in Utah, and there was like some like big like massive snowstorm like the night before. So everyone like you couldn't drive very well. You had to go really slow. And I don't think Nintendo anticipated it was going to sell as well as it did, because they had all those shortages. And I know some people said that they believed, maybe some of those shortages on launch day or, launch week were intentional, but like I couldn't get one. And then they just had these shortages and everyone was going and buying a Switch. It took me a year before I was able to get a Switch, just because I couldn't find them available anywhere. Yeah, a Wii. Sorry, not a Switch. A Wii. Like the Wii, it took me a year, and I remember going, "This is ridiculous." Like I was on the hunt every week because I wanted to play Twilight Princess. Yeah. I had sold my GameCube right before I moved to Utah. I sold my GameCube, and so I came to Utah and I was like, oh, and I still had my Xbox 360, and I think I still had a PlayStation 2 at the time,
right?
But I couldn't find a Wii, and I was bummed, and it took me a year. And I remember finally, it was like this random, I can't remember what it was, like a random Saturday or Sunday. And I called a Best Buy and I was like, "Hey, you guys don't happen to have any Wiis, do you?" He's like, "Someone just bought it. They walked out. They made a phone call. They came right back in. They dropped it off." He's like, "I've got one. I haven't even put it back on the shelves yet." I was like, "Hold it, hold!" And I was in the car drive. I was like, "Hold it!" And he's like, I can't hold it for you." I'm like, "Dude, just keep your hand on it. Don't put it back into circulation. I'm 5 minutes away." I was like 15 minutes away, but I was like racing down there. Yeah. And I come running. I'm still on this. Like I kept the guy on the cell phone. I was like, dude, man, what's your name, man? Okay, so can I call you by that? Can I? Do they know? Like are people up front gonna know where you're at? Like I was just like, I came in there. I was like, "Steve, where are you, Steve?" Started yelling, and he's like, "Hey!" And I went over like, "You got that Wii?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I got the Wii." I was like, "Dude, boom!" Then when I had it in my hand, then I hung up my phone. It was crazy. Awesome. But it took me a year.
Yep.
My only other console, Matt, that I actually got on release day is the Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
Which is recent. That was only like 3.5 years ago. March 3rd, 2017. I had pre-ordered the Switch. I messed up with the old Wii situation and I didn't pre-order it.
Not doing that again.
Wasn't going to do that again. So I pre-ordered a Nintendo Switch. The interesting thing was, I remember that the games coming out, the Switch, like, was it Snipper Clips and 1-2 Switch? I was not super excited about the games they were showing off prior to the Switch's release.
Right.
And then, of course, they dropped that teaser trailer for Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Brita was watching it with me. She goes, "Oh, that looks cool." I was like, "Yeah, it's a Zelda game. I definitely want to play that." And she went, "Yeah, I'd watch you play that." I went, "Oh, you'd watch me play this, huh?" Because my wife usually doesn't play games. But I pre-ordered it. It was all ready for me. I just drove down to the Best Buy, picked up my copy. They had my copy of Breath of the Wild there. Like, back then, they would, like, have, like, your name on a sticker that they would put on the outside plastic.
Yeah.
So it was just so good. Like, oh, yeah, that one right there, that's mine. It's got my name on it. I'm not getting messed around this time. I picked up the Switch. I took it home. We set up the dock. Like, we kind of got it out. We kind of felt how it felt in the handheld mode. But then I immediately docked it because I knew in my heart of hearts, that's the way I like to play Nintendo consoles. Yep. Now, I will say, during this pandemic, I've played a lot of Switch in handheld mode up on the couch while we're watching something or in bed while I'm playing Animal Crossing and I'm just, working on my island or, collecting bugs or whatever I'm doing. But at the time, release week, I picked up that Switch. It went right into that dock, and my dock was a little defective. and it scratched my screen.
Oh no.
And so like I was so bummed. And so I called Nintendo. They're like, all right, we're gonna send you a box, you're gonna ship it back in, we're gonna do the thing. I was like,
Yeah.
fine. But we did dock it, and I also bought a Pro controller, and Brita and I stayed up probably every night past midnight, maybe like 1 a.m. And I was just playing Breath of the Wild. And this was one of these games where, like, since Breath of the Wild is an RPG, even though it doesn't feel like a JRPG, like an RPG out of Japan.
Right.
We're playing this, and she's like, well, what do you do this? And because like all of those like little temples are little puzzles, and so she got really interested. So she had a tablet, and she was finding websites and like reading things and finding like little maps. And she's like, oh, if you just go over here, I think there's a Korok seed over there. I was like, oh, okay. So like it was this experience for me that I haven't had very many of with my wife, where I was playing a video game and she was so into it that she was like my co-pilot and helping me guide me towards things and find stuff. And we've done that with, I think, like the Kingdom Hearts game, and there's one other game. It would take me a minute to think about it, but definitely Zelda Breath of the Wild. And we played that game, I don't know, like crazy, like probably like 40 hours worth in the first week. Like we were dumping time into it. And then I had to ship my Nintendo Switch back to Nintendo to get the screen replaced. And they were like, yeah, some of those docks kind of bent in a little bit. And so like it would rub up against your screen. And so like while it got sent back, Breed and I went out and found like this like little felt Legend of Zelda cover that someone on Etsy made, which I still have upstairs on that dock to this day. So it would protect the screen. But yeah, that's what it was for me. Like the Switch was nothing but like that first week, staying up late every night, playing Zelda with Brita and I, just kind of hanging out. And like we had kids. Like we were so desperate. And this is like 3 years ago. So Charlie was like 4 pushing 5, and Jackson was like 3 pushing 4. Like we were so desperate to get the kids to bed as early as we possibly could, so we could go back and run and play more Breath of the Wild. Like it really was like the thing. So like that was my experience with like console launch week for the Switch.
My next one is the Switch. That is the next console for me as well. I skipped the Wii U. I got that like a year or two into its life cycle. And I skipped the PS3 and PS4, as is well documented.
Right.
I took a hiatus.
Yeah.
From the Wii until the Wii U, like a couple years into it, and I still wasn't really into it. And then the Switch came, and I saw the commercial for what it was, and I went, this is made for me, because I didn't feel like I had time to sit down and dedicate to a TV all of this time, to take up the only screen in the house. We were really poor. Jesse and I were recently married. We were expecting Emmy at the time.
Yeah.
And the Switch was set to come out on Emmy's due date.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah.
I'm sitting there praying, please don't come, child. Like, just wait. And this was probably the most excited I've ever been for anything in my life that week. I mean, I was going to have a baby, and I was going to have the freaking Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And I've always been big into YouTube, and there was a YouTuber who documented 30 days of waiting outside the Nintendo of America.
I remember that.
In New York.
Yeah.
And it felt like, I mean, there were probably 700,000 people every day watching his video, and it was creating this hype that was just like I couldn't contain it. I was waiting for his video. I don't care about the guy. I don't even know who he is. I don't follow him anymore. I couldn't care less.
Right.
However, in the moment, it was like you're experiencing something incredible with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, depending on the day. Also, just like so hungry and excited that you're going to spend 20 minutes watching a video of this guy waiting in line. And it was just, it created so much hype.
I remember
and
that.
Then,
yeah.
Similar to you, I pre-ordered it at Best Buy. I just went to Best Buy. I mean, I was like, Jesse, text me if you're in labor because I gotta go. And
right.
I waited in line for a little while just because I wanted to like get it right when I could. And they let the pre-order people in. I got my copy of Breath of the Wild, my Switch, and I went home and plugged that puppy in and played Breath of the Wild until 5 a.m. And I couldn't put it down. And this is why I know we've talked about this before, and I've talked about Breath of the Wild. It is to me the greatest thing that's ever happened to video games. Like it's the greatest game I have ever played, and I've never been so lost in a world in my life as I did in Hyrule in Breath of the Wild. It was just like it was it's really what the renaissance was for me in getting back into games. Like that got me back. And that's why it will always be special to me is it's like, oh man, video games are really fun. Now I remember why I loved them so much when I was a kid. And now here I am as a dad. And guess what? Emmy was born like a day and a half later. And I brought the Switch to the hospital and I wasn't going to sleep anyway because Emmy was coming in to get fed every like 2 hours.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I just stayed up all night with my Switch going hard at Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Just like thinking, man, my life is crazy right now. I don't really know what's up and what's down, what's day, what's night. I've got this human child I'm in charge of, but also I've got Hyrule I got to save. And anyway, that will always be like, I can't imagine anything beating that. It's hard for me. The Switch hype was real for everyone in the country. I think there was something really exciting about that console release, and they didn't F it up like Nintendo and Microsoft did with pre-orders being so hard to get. I mean, if you wanted to get a Switch, like I did not have any problem getting a Switch.
Yeah.
They told me when I could pre-order it and I got one just like you.
Yep.
And that's why, now we're talking about this week.
Yeah.
Those are all of our experiences that we've had.
Yeah.
This week. I'm excited, but it's different because I don't know that I'm going to get one. And so there's this hype that I feel for just like the YouTube videos I'm watching right now, comparing how fast that games are loading because it's a solid state drive instead of the other, what is it? The SSD instead of freaking
the spinning drives.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you're talking Miles Morales loading in a matter of seconds versus minutes. We're talking about jumping into a game like Ghost of Tsushima in a matter of seconds and
it looks so much stuff. Good.
The controller for the play, and we're both PlayStation gamers. We're not. Right. I don't know much about Series X, and I don't care. And then good for you if you like Xbox. But for me, the whole adaptive triggers, like I can't wait to feel what that's like. And they say that the rumble in the controllers is way better than even the HD rumble on the Switch, which is excellent in and of itself.
Right.
I mean, there's just so much that I want. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? The hype isn't quite as high though, because I don't think I'm going to get one, to be honest.
Yeah. Try. That's kind of where I'm at too. It's like, I gotta say, I'm excited for every gamer out there that has a pre-order that's getting this, or that has the opportunity to go somewhere local and maybe pick one up. I did see that they said they were gonna have some available for pickup in a few places, but you still had to do kind of the negotiating the online business. Like, I'm excited for everyone. I really am. I'm a little bummed that we didn't see more pre-orders open up, that nothing else like really opened up to say like, hey, we're going to have more of them. And I know I'm kind of pigeonholed here where I could go, like if Target all of a sudden said like, hey, we've got some, I could go buy it, but I've already got that money sitting at Best Buy. So like, I know I'm pigeonholed in like, I'm going to wait for Best Buy, which means most likely I'm going to miss the launch window. I'm not going to get it on release date. I might be able to get it a few weeks from now because I hear that they're going to have more available before Christmas, which still, if I ended up getting it 2-3 weeks after launch, that's not bad.
That's still kind of launch.
That's,
I'd say
that's
if
not
you're
bad.
within a month, you're in the window.
However, with it being probably going to be the hot ticket at Christmas, and with how crazy pre-orders were, and I think that for both Microsoft and PlayStation, I think the number of availability is going to be low just due to hardware issues.
Yeah.
I really think that it's going to be after the new year sometime when I might be able to get my hands on one. And I feel like at that point, if I'm talking 2-3 months past release date, I've missed that launch window now. I don't get to get in on the hype the day of, the week of. Yep. I'm not angry at anyone that does, man. Like, I'm so happy for everyone that does. But I was really hoping to play Miles Morales this week. And I know that
PlayStation 5.
On PlayStation 5, that's right. I know I could go get it for PS4, but I'm not going to. I'm going to save that experience for PS5. Like, that's
I'm the same.
That's going to be my
pre-ordered
first. I know, me
PS5.
too. Oh gosh,
I'm so stupid. I thought I'm going to pre-order on PS5, so it gives me the fire I need to pursue a PS5 because.
So you're going to have Miles Morales sitting in your home doing nothing?
Yep.
Wow.
GameStop's going to call me. They're going to say, "Oh, hey, congrats. We've got your Miles Morales PS5 pre-order."
Let it sit.
I'm going to say, "F you piece of crap. I got a PS5 to play it on, you stupid idiot, because you don't have 3 consoles."
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I love it. So here's the thing. I think we should ask the Super Friends, and we'll give our answers. I think I know both of our answers already, but what is your favorite console you got on release day? That's my question to you, Super Friends. Matt, I'm just going to take a wild guess that yours is the Switch. I mean, the fact that it was tied in with the birth of your child and all that, like, I don't think there's ever probably going to be a console that comes out that you're going to get on release day that's going to beat that.
No.
For me, it's the Switch also, only because, like, the 360, if I'd bought, like, other games at the 360 and I jumped in, but I just went back to a game I was already playing on Xbox, because I just could not put that game down. I was playing competitive Halo 2 back then. So, like, I was ranked for a good long amount of time. But it's the Switch. Breath of the Wild, and sitting up late at night after the kids were in bed, and Rita and I just kind of playing together, and like, it was a shared experience that I don't get very often with my wife with video games, and I don't look at those in a negative light. Those are always very, very positive experiences for me. But Super Friends, we want to hear from you. What is your favorite console that you got at release date? Now, you can let us know at all the normal places. Email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com. You can get us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/fortofnerd. Twitter @fortofnerd. Instagram, fortofnerd. You can go over to the YouTube and drop us a comment, which is fortofnerd. Or you can put it in the Discord, the Fortress of Nerditude Discord that we've got. And we'll read your answers next week. Matt, I hope for one of our sakes, magic happens, and next week in our week update we can talk about playing on a PS5 and Miles Morales.
Dang it! Now you got me excited. Now my hype train's rolling.
I'm just saying. I hope one of us can say that.
Yep, me too.
Fingers are crossed. Fingers crossed.
I'm with you.
All right. Well, Super Friends, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you. Always.